Let's get to work on the Star BM 9mm. Alright, now that we know it shoots, let's get started on this project. Take it out of its case, check clear, we're clear, drop the magazine, get this out of our way, drop our slide, drop our hammer, all the way back, there we go. Now pop our slide release, get that out of the way, bring our slide forward, drop our hammer. We're going to set this aside for now. Okay, move our barrel bushing, take our barrel out. We are basically done here. So let's get started. We'll start with the slide. Now we're going to start with our slide. First thing we're going to do is take our firing pin out, and that is held in with a pin here that is actually under our sight. So take our block, get a brass pin here, don't know how well this is going to show up, but we are going to start tapping. Starting to move. See if I can do this without hitting the camera. Nope. Still can't see it. Alright, we got our... We still recording? Yep, we're recording. We're off here. There's our pin from the top side. There it is from the bottom side. Obviously, it doesn't come out skinny side forward, so get our punch. Now, leave your punch in place. There's our pin. You pull your punch out, your firing pin's going to go shooting across the room, and I got carpet, and that's no fun. So let's see here. Hold it in place, pull our pin, and out comes our firing pin. Should be a spring there. Looks like we're in good shape. That's our pin slot. Now, what I like to do, store everything in a Ziploc. Okay. Individually. You start jumbling it all together and your pins will get mixed up. You will, what spring goes where. So firing pin, everything involved with that. I'm going to go ahead and put the back side in. Set that aside. Need to get me a box together. Alright, what's next? Extractor. Here's our pin for that. Goes in the top here. Okay, here's where the dumpster fire begins. Dead batteries, memory cards, all that other crap. So from here on out, you get to hear a voiceover and some cheesy background music. If you don't like the music, make your own damn videos. Alrighty, I'm going to do my best to use my sexy voice so everybody's happy. Alright, we're going to get this extractor out, pushing the pin down from the top. Give it a tap, see if we can do it without hitting the camera this time. Goes through pretty easy. Once again, hold your punch captive in there. Always assume all your parts are under spring tension. Hold it in place, pull the punch, release it. Yes, we do have a little spring in there. So there's our extractor, it's case hardened. There's our little spring. Okay, get it in the Ziploc, tagged, moving on. Alright, the front sight post is held in with a pin. We are not going to worry about removing it. Talking about the import engraving is all by laser. They've assigned it a new serial number. There's the original serial number, and the year built was 77. Now, on each frame and each slide, you'll see 2 tool marks. What that was is each branch of the Spanish military and police had their own symbols stamped into the slide and frame. So one would be like Coast Guard, one would be like the police, one might be Border Patrol. They had their own marks, and part of the export agreement was those had to be tooled out. So every gun has them. So we're going to get the scales off, get the right screwdriver here. That's important so you don't booger up your screws. Now these scales had some holster damage to them. I was able to repair that using a triangular file. As I fumble around with these screws, I'll talk about that. I was able to take a triangular file and follow the check mark lines in the scales and file new check mark lines in there. I didn't have the proper tool, so I used the tool that I had. So getting the scales off isn't a major event. That's probably something everybody's done if you've got a autoloader pistol with removable scales. There's the triangle file that I used to make those repairs. Okay, plastic scales, get the other side off, reveal the internals, clean up the oil, get that out of the way. You'll end up getting that all over the bench and all over you and everything else. Being an autoloader, you do want to keep it well oiled. So let's get our scales in the baggie, get our baggie labeled so we don't get all jumbled up, and we'll move on to our next project. I'd like to take a moment to invite everybody on over to the Reloaders Network. great, wonderful community of like-minded folks where you can catch all your videos in one place. Come on over to reloadersnetwork.com. Alrighty, next thing we're going to work on is our magazine release. It is old school, single-sided magazine release. It is a spring-loaded captive collar. You've got to turn it with a screw or screwdriver. Now you take your finger from the back side, push it towards the screw head, turn the screw till you feel it catch the slot, and it's just a matter of feel. You'll feel it catch. Pull the collet out of there, and you'll see here, let me grab the screwdriver and show you how it catches in there and releases. So there's a pretty tight spring there. It's a hard, strong spring. So release that, pull your spring out, and there you go. Now we're going to move on to getting our trigger assembly out. It is a lot like a high power without all the slide safety garbage in it. It pivots from the top, has a trigger bar. First we want to get this on a baggie. You're going to get tired of hearing me say that. So moving on. Alright, let's work on this trigger. It pivots on its pin, so that if you'll notice that trigger bar is case hardened. It's nice. Anywhere where there's metal on metal, or the sear, the hammer knock, the hammer, all that is case hardened. So they did a wonderful job on that. So let's get our pin going here, tap it on through. Pretty tight. Most pins go from the same direction, but if it's that tight, don't hesitate to try it from the other side. That also can help get things loosened up. I'm going to put a little more oomph into it, so whenever I'm going to be hitting hard, I prefer to use brass punches. A lot less chance of scratching up your frame. Put a little more power using the Tim Allen technique here. Are we getting it started? Yep, we're getting it started. Move back over to a steel punch. And tap it on through. Tap your punch all the way through. Sometimes you can push them out by hand, sometimes you can have to tap them out. There we go. There's our pin. Now, spring tension, hold that trigger, pull out your punch. Now, here's where I jumbled and fumbled and carried on. Trying to get this trigger out of the top. It looks like the natural place for that trigger assembly to come out is out the top of the frame. So, alright, let me get our stop out of the way. Set that aside. Now, whenever you are in a situation where the part's not working right, a part's not doing what you think it needs to do, don't force it. You're just going to end up tearing up stuff. Fiddle with it, shake it, light taps, wiggle, 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 you will find it'll release. Okay, well, lo and behold, it goes out the side of the hand grip. So I did want to lighten the trigger by drilling 3 holes in it, but with the trigger bar where it is and it being pinned in place, the spring in there, I'm not going to take that out. The idea of drilling the trigger, that is gone. So it's a nice, I believe, stainless trigger. It's got grooves in the front. So alright, we're going to now move on to the slide release catch, detent, whatever you want to do. Now this is screwed into the frame. Now this is a technique that where I like to use a rubber band. You can put tape there, but you still run a risk of galling through the tape and into the metal. So whenever you have some broccoli or cauliflower from the grocery store, save that big fat rubber band that's on there, and you can do things like this. Alright, put your rubber band around, get your needle nose out. Now, grab the middle of the rubber band and push down to where you'll see the rubber band is between the frame and your needle nose pliers. It'll just like grabbing a jar lid here, take your needle nose pliers, get a good strong grip, and turn. Voila, there it is, and you don't have to worry about galling your frame. It's a simple, cheap, and freebie tool, and the snowflakes will be glad you're recycling something. Okay, that does have a detent line that goes all the way around. It does have some scratches on there, but that should be easily taken care of. Nice thing about that detent going all the way around it is you don't have to screw it back into a specific position, just good and tight, and you're in good shape.
Three days later.
Now this is the part, like a big dummy, I wasn't paying attention. And I ran out of memory in my video card with about 5 minutes to go. So after all the polishing was done and the cutting down, I put the gun back together to show you the last 3 steps. So here we go. Since you've gotten accustomed to my sexy voice, let's move on to the safety removal. Now the safety has a detent that is held in place by where the hammer pin is. So hold your thumb over that detent, move the safety down, pull the detent out. There you go. Now cock the hammer, hold the hammer in place, find the slot, the safety lifts right out. Now release your hammer gently. That's all there is to it, removing the safety. Get her in a baggie. I know you're tired of hearing that, but man, I can't tell you, you do not want to show up. I've been in a gun shop before where somebody shows up with a box of parts going, I need help with this. Alright, we're going to pull the hammer out. You've got a large side where that detent was. The other side has a button pin right there. It's under a lot of tension, so if you did it right, you could probably do it by hand, but I got a brass pin here. Push down on the hammer and the pin goes right on through. Okay, there's our pin. Now the hammer is definitely under very taut spring tension. So whenever you're taking this out, make sure you've got a good grip on this hammer in both directions. Pull out your punch and gently lift that out. There's your hammer. Once again, it's case hardened, so that's nice. You should have a female side of a detent and your mainspring. So there it is. Really the only thing left that you need to mess with after a hammer removal is we got to get our sear out. It's not difficult, but baggy, keep it tagged, keep it bagged. Okay, let's move on. Let's get the sear out. Once again, it's held in place with a pin. It's not under spring tension, so you can sometimes you can push the pin right on through with your hand. Sometimes you got to give it a little love tap. Get started. Get a little bit better fitting pin. Push it on through. Tap tap. Pin. Now pause the sear. Once again, another case hardened piece. They did a good job of all those high tension pieces of metal, making them all case hardened, so there is no wear. It's clean as a whistle, no rust or anything. Alright, we'll unbag and tag it. Get it put away. Now the only part that's held in with a pin left is the mainspring inside the grip. It's what helps hold your magazines in place. It's a really tight pin. I mean, a really tight pin. It's not crucial to remove it for what we're doing. It's not going to affect it. Don't want to mar up the frame, so I just decided to leave it. As you can see, the frame looks a little different. I've been buffing on it, I've been polishing it, been taking those sharp edges off the corners, especially around the trigger guard and the beaver tail. But we're going to leave that for another video. Everybody, I appreciate you. Thank you so much. And please join us on the Reloaders Network. God bless.